I have to do it all over again. I don't think I'll have a car ready for when my brother's car's getting collected. Hello everyone, welcome to pretty much the most awkward thing to do when working on a car is bodywork, because not only does it take absolutely forever to sort out, but it's a very laborsome job and time consuming. I think that's the annoying thing about it, because at the moment that's how the GTR looks, which is pretty much just full on project mode at the moment. There's lots of parts I'm going to be removing, like the door handle, the door mirrors, rear bumper and rear tail lights will be coming off later on. The front bumper will be coming off again. I'm trying to do a little bit of body work to it whilst it's still on the car, same as the rear bumper. And then there's little bits and pieces that I need to touch up on. So the car has still been getting used whilst it's been in kind of project stage at the moment. Hopefully after this week we will have a completed car. So let's recap on what I've had to do so far to get to this point. So here's where we're at with Project R32 at the moment. Now, many of you know this is my dream car, and alongside my brother's car getting all this amazing restoration, I really wanted to get my car looking proper as well. So currently it's the 19th of June, but there is a potential collection day for my brother's R33, which is the 27th of June. So we're not too far away from there, and there's a lot of work still to get done to this car. Along with that, there is another drive just a couple of weeks after that, which is the 8th of July, and that is exactly 19 days from this point. In between that, we've got car events and other things that I want to take this car to, so there's a lot of problems and a lot of things that we need to figure out. Firstly, between each stage that we're doing with this car, it takes a huge amount of time, and some of these things, it's not even a matter of how long you're dedicating to, it's a matter of will you be able to even get to the point of where it needs to get to. Number two, between each of these points, there's a lot of cleaning and drying and those kind of things, because not only am I working on this car, and you do need to have a clean space doing all this, but I also work here and the car needs to move in and out regularly. Problem three, working in the same area that you're painting is super hard, and managing dust and all these things is crazy difficult. The amount of time you spend cleaning is ridiculous. Problem four is that there are stages between each bit of work that does require a lot of time and sometimes heat to allow the paint to cure and breathe properly. And problem number five is I am not a professional. Doing this for my first time is a lot harder than you would ever think it is. There's so many things that I've learned that I'm hoping to share with you all throughout this video as well. So without further ado, let's jump into exactly where we're at with the car at the moment and getting this car ready, because we're running out of time and there's a lot of work that needs to get done. So I've been having, well, I had a crack kind of looking like this section here, and as I started poking at it, I realized that the paint in this area was basically, well, yeah, just like the front bumper and stuff. So you know what, this car's gonna need a full strip down paint to make it perfect. You see, it's not filler underneath there, it's just the paintwork's just not been applied on properly. Other than that, a lot of other bits have been going quite well. I'm touching up these areas again, gotta finish off that roof part, and I've covered up the wheels. Yeah, just little bits and pieces I'm just trying to get done with the car. The spoiler's just getting redone as well in those corner sections. So trying to bit by bit get the car looking how it should. It's definitely going to take a little while. It's going to take a lot of hours. Hence why I'm not recording it all, because I just want to focus and just get it done. Just get it done. Being that it's the 20th of June, I know there's so much still yet to get done, and I just need to crack on and get this car ready. Basically, here is what the car looks like right now. So pretty much all of everything has been removed. Taken off the side mirrors, the door handles, the boot lock has been taken off as well. Rear tail lights, rear bumper, and the front bumper has all been removed. The other thing that I'm kind of thinking of removing is the, damn, my words are escaping me right now, the windscreen washer jets, that's the word. So yeah, that's how the front of the car looks at the moment. Pretty much all done in terms of prepping this car. The next thing I'm going to do is basically sand it all down with some 400 grit, maybe 600 grit, but most likely 400 grit, and and then apply on a base coat, which is a 2K hardener primer. It's a high build one, so it will allow me again to sand everything, make sure all the lines are straight as they can be, and then I can look at painting everything properly. So I'm probably going to do 2 coats of the primer, but right now I just want to get the car outside so I can start prepping the other stuff to make sure that's all ready for paint. If we have a look, a lot of it needs to be kind of smoothed out and stuff, so that's going to take a little bit of time. It's slow progress, but it is progress, and that's the main thing right now. And then we should be all set and ready to go. I'm excited. I'm actually excited because the way the car looks right now, it's so ready for paint. So yeah, I'm gonna take the car out in a moment and take everything forward from there. Time to say goodbye to the last bit of completely not beaten up midnight purple. Got to sand you down, spoiler. That's the underside. That's the only part that didn't get damaged by the sun. Right, so that is how the 32 looks at the moment. What I'm basically going to do is just take off all the tape and stuff like that. Main reason for that is because I am going to need to basically wash everything down. So that's going to be tomorrow's job. But I'm going to take all the tape off because I don't want you to just keep doing this in the wind. It's a bit annoying when that happens. The car properly looks like a project car right now. Reminds me of my E30 days, having it out here. So right, yeah, let's get on with doing the rest of the work. I cannot believe how much dust is underneath where the car was. That's how the floor is normally colored, and that is with the dust on top. I need to hoover this space up. And this is how the bumpers are at the moment. I've got to do a little bit of work to the Skyline badging area because I tried to wire brush some of it out because the paint wasn't coming out and it was still flaking, and I accidentally eaten into a little bit too much, so I need to basically add some plastic filler back in and build it back up, and same in this corner here. Lesson learned, don't use a sanding brush on plastic. Even though you think you're going light, you're actually eating into it. I will show you guys this. This has been brilliant, which you guys would have seen earlier on in the video as well. Honestly, I don't recommend using it for the whole bumper. I'd probably recommend just sanding it down. Well, I'll find out, because if I've sanded it down too much and it's horrible to deal with the, you know, primer and stuff like that, then big lesson learned there. But this, especially for these areas, just applying it a few times over, really good. So I'd highly recommend this peel tack because it doesn't eat the plastic, it just eats up the paint. It's just not as strong, so it does take a few coats to get through the paint that was on this car, but it does eventually get to it. So again, really recommend it. By the way, I've come to Joel's Paint in Sturchley. This is where I'm getting my paints from. Got some of it already prepped up here. Looks very cool.
It's very black.
Yeah,
it's as black as you can get.
I was wondering before I go if you could just remind me. So this
of the ratios.
Yeah. So okay. Paint goes with
thinners, 50-50 mix. So if you use 2.5 litres of that, you'll use 2.5 litres of that.
Perfect.
Okay. Then the lacquer, again, it comes as a kit. So 2 parts to 1 part. So if you use 5 litres of that, you'll use
2.5 litres
of that. Yeah.
Oh
yeah,
wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't realise I was testing. I was like, I hope I'm getting this right.
So 2 to 1 mix.
Okay.
And then 10% thinners.
Oh, okay. So whatever I've put in. So even if I use only 3 litres worth of that, 10%
just to
of
help
thinner.
you for the gun. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
And the
Brilliant.
gloves, you put your hands in. And
Oh my gosh. How sick does this all look, everyone? So what's going on? It is now a proper DIY setup. I've used sheets to kind of cover up everything. What have we got going on? Bumper, spoiler, bumper, front lip, and then all these bits basically hung up. I'll be honest with you, I did not realize just how much space hanging all of these would take. You'll see what I mean a little bit better here, because if you can imagine, I've got to get around all the shapes and stuff like that. But unfortunately, I don't have enough thread right now, everything's closed. Working in the same space as where you want to paint is really difficult. I'll be honest with you, it takes a huge amount of time to clean up. That's the bit that I did not think about properly beforehand, in terms of the cleanup after you've done so much sanding. When you want to do painting, pretty much right after, moving everything around. Oh, it was genuinely, that took 3-4 hours to kind of move everything to a different space. This has taken a couple of hours as well to get everything ready, but we are basically there, kind of ready for the primer. I got a 2K primer that's going to be applied on. I've basically got a 1.8 tip for the primer gun. What I have done is as well, I've put the screws into each one of the holes. I was able to dismantle the side mirrors, so you can literally get all of them like this, because I noticed you can't paint this area, which you do see when you fold the mirrors in, and this clearly was not painted properly before. So it's really taken a lot of love to get to this point. The door handles, I've kind of cleaned up the door handles and like masked it all up properly as best as I can. Could probably be dismantled more, but I didn't want to go too crazy with that, mess it up. And yeah, this is kind of everything at the moment. I need to make sure actually that these don't leave any places. I took everything in, washed it all up as well properly before today, so it's dried overnight. Again, I'm going to reiterate, DIY project. I don't expect everything to be 100% perfect, but if it's 85 to 90% perfect, I'm happy with that. I actually bought this. This is to feed like animals, but I'm gonna fill this up with the thinner, so it allows a little bit easier way of moving the thinner around. I saw on Paint Society where they did it like that, and they had a specific gun for it, but I thought, yeah, well, how can I get something like that really quickly from a local shop on a budget? And I just thought of this, took the tip off, and yeah, hopefully this will work out okay. So what I was told in the shop was the best way to do this is, you see this is 4, so that's the 4 to 1, and then if you need to add 10%, so 4, 1, 10%. So that's basically the setup right now. I'm gonna fill up the jug. I'm gonna do basically the whole thing and try, hopefully that will be enough to do all of this. It's a bit of a wild one, but time to set up the GoPro and we can just chill, and it'll be a hyperlapse moment. Crazy little update. All the parts are basically painted with the primer, but I didn't do everything perfectly because I rushed and I made a mistake. Firstly, I completely forgot to get the quick adapter onto the gun. I'll be honest, it was a really big oversight from me and completely forgot about it, which then meant I had to rush around whilst I got my first bottle of everything ready. A couple of other things that I should have gotten, which I didn't get. One was a regulator valve, which you put at the end of the gun. That basically allows you to control the PSI or the bar at the actual gun. It basically meant that I wasn't able to control how flat this was coming out. Now, it is bumpy, and in certain areas I've let it run a little bit too much, which isn't the best thing. And the other thing is, spraying these whilst they're hanging is nerve-wracking, and they move around so much. That's when I really realized that the air pressure is too high, because it's moving these things around so much that I really had to slow it down and just change everything up completely. So next step is going to be actually block sanding everything back down, getting everything back to perfect, because this isn't good enough anymore. But I'm glad with the bumpers, more so the bumpers and the front splitter. I'm really glad that it has come out really nice and thick, because it allows me now to get everything perfectly smooth, because it was really difficult to get it like that because of all the damage that happened to the bumpers and the splitter beforehand. So let me show you guys. This is how it's turned up, so you can see how bumpy it is. But like I said, this is a good place to start from, because it means I can really get everything perfect. Listen to that. But like points like this, But now I know that these are gonna get filled up properly. This is gonna be annoying to sand in, make sure all the letters are perfect, but once it's done, it'll be perfect. I'm just gonna blast through this as fast as I can. Gosh, it is so hot. Actually, let me show you guys the temperature in here at the moment. That's how hot it is right now. So this might sound really obvious, but I've added some guide coat to the panels, and I think it's gonna help a lot with actually showing just how lumpy the paintwork is in certain areas. So now I've got to sand through all of this and get it looking as good as I can. I'm giving you a 1:22 in the morning update. Damn, you know what? Doing prep work to a car is really hard work, especially when you're doing it on your own. All of these all hung up. Bits like this I had to primer real quick with etch primer again because I got to the metal at some points, so I just thought I'll go over the whole thing. So that's with both the handles. You can see just how the high build has helped make sure all of this is nice and level. I've checked everything over. I bought this little pressure washer water thing to like apply water on everything and make sure it all looks good. You know, bits and pieces, like you can just see how the high build and working it all in, getting everything to be as flat as I wanted it to be. Got some more, I don't know what to call this. I think it's a garden line or something like that. And I've hung some of them up in jewel points because obviously it's going to move around a lot. Last time when I was painting all of these, obviously they were moving around so much. But doing it this way should hopefully mean it's nice and strong and properly up. You know what? Today was a lot more mentally draining than I honestly thought it was going to be. I haven't even started working on the front bumper. Haven't done the spoiler. I've mostly done the rear bumper. So all of these will be getting primered up, and then I'll work on the front bumper. I was hoping that when I apply the primer, I'd have a better result than I actually did, to be honest with you. 120 grit to sand everything down as best as I can. Then I went up to 280, I think it is. 240. So I went from 120 to 240. Then I went to 400 to smooth everything out. And that should be the perfect level for the primer to go onto it all now. So all of these will be primered up again. This time I am not going to rush with the primer. Last time when I primed everything, I kind of didn't care that it was coming on really thick because I knew that there was a lot of surface that I needed to cover, and I wanted to be a thick layer because then I can smooth everything out perfectly. 13 hours today of pure sanding of stuff that I've already done once already. And I think that was kind of the demoralizing part, because then I thought about it again that after I primer all of these, if I get the primer wrong, I have to do it all over again. I don't think I'll have the car ready for when my brother's car's getting collected, but there's a car show this weekend that we're hopefully going to go to together. So I'm going to make sure I get this all done before then. Have the right sanding paper, guys. I'm going to go to sleep. If you have a look at my arm, I just had to eat. Let's get some paint on now.
Until I can't hear that my mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper. I've been feeling weird, I can't seem to.
So everybody, it's another day and back to work and everything. I've spent a few hours already here this morning just kind of prepping up a few more bits and pieces, and I'm gonna basically spray everything. I have bought a couple of extra things. I bought this little regulator thing. Now I didn't realize without that regulator it's pushing out so much force of air that I think that was also causing a little bit of issue with me controlling how the spray is coming out. But regardless, I'm gonna apply another layer of primer on this. I'm gonna do a small batch because I don't want to have to do all of the sanding all over again. I've added a little bit of cardboard on here. I use one of my old boxes from Ambient Lighting. This is going to be a good place for me to test the spray. Doing this with better now. Having a look, yes, there is still texture here. At certain points when I've played around with the settings a little bit more, you can see like over on this side, it's nowhere near as textured as it was before. So I'm kind of using this panel as the one that I'm going to be testing everything on with, because I do need to build up a few layers, because certain points I just wanted to kind of get it back to perfect. Let's try to do a proper paint job this time.
To a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper. I've been feeling weird, I can't seem to focus good enough. Nothing's really clear, sometimes it could be a little tough. I just need to feel like the end's in sight for me, but let's be really real, anxiety can foggy all this stuff. I've been feeling weird, I can't seem to focus good enough. Nothing's really clear, sometimes it could be...
I'm gonna class this as a little bit of a success. So you know what, let me find a piece that's easy to show the texture on. But this guy right here, you can see that there is a small amount of texture still showing through. Even this one, small amount of texture again, but things are looking so much better. Let's have a look at this guy. I'm basically gonna sand everything down now with 400 grit and then 600 and 800 grit. My test panel is all dry. Things are going well. I've basically been able to paint a lot better now. What I've actually done is I've resprayed the bumper, because I went through the primer in some spots, and you can see that, for example, just there, see just how much tidier of a paint job I've been able to get. Really beneficial for me for when I'm actually working on the body of the car. Then we'll get it ready for actual main paint. So I'm super excited. I'm gonna crack on with this part. It's gonna take a couple of hours, to be honest, and then we can start painting some actual base and clear. It's gonna be so good. So see you guys in a moment. My face feels all funny because the mask constantly being on it. This is my little list of how to do everything. So from prep, primer, like, you know, what to do in between each stages, all these kind of things, so I don't have to keep looking everything up. Got it all written out here, and here is how everything looks at the moment. It's all down to, well, some parts are actually down to 400 grit, but most of it is down to 240 grit. Because the primer is a high build, it should be okay to leave it at that point and paint everything all over again. You see these little points just here, and, like, you know, these little areas that pop up every so often. Well, unfortunately for me, they're not okay. So it means I have to re-primer everything up again. This time what I'm planning to do is do it at a high enough point where once I do block it, I'm only gonna block it between 400 and 500 grit, maybe 600 grit. Then tonight I can let everything just really get, you know, I can let everything really dry up, get warm, everything that it needs to be. You can look at me. I can't believe the last few days it's literally just been sanding and sanding and sanding, and because it's the same parts in essence that I've been sanding, it's just been so repetitive. Areas like these grooves in here, and same on like the front bumper, these section here, getting that all done. These areas, there's no other way of putting it, but it's brutal to have to keep sanding these areas. Here is the rear spoiler, looking all nice as well. I do like seeing these pieces looking like this, because it's something that kind of like artistic, and it makes you feel like you've done some good work. This top was black. You can see the kind of color this top is supposed to be. But ladies and gentlemen, it's all basically finished. All of these guys are basically all ready now, which means I can actually finally start painting some color. So I'm gonna wipe everything down, clean up the area a little bit, do that front splitter a little bit more, and then eventually I can get all of this painted finally. a really hard time getting here, but we're here now. So everything is pretty much ready for spraying, and this is my new spray gun. So I got one of these for primer and I got one of these for paint. This is a 1.4 tip, the other one was 1.8. Now it does come oiled up. Now I wanted to show you this. You see how that's yellow milky looking? I'm running some thinner through it, and I'm just going to dismantle it and just make sure I get rid of all of that, because we don't want that going onto our paint. So everyone, this is a big moment for me. Everything is basically primered up, and hopefully once I flatten everything out, I don't need to do this again. So fingers crossed, let's go. This is it. Whoa. So my goal at this point was just to get a nice mist of the base coat down, just so then I limit the amount of potential runs that I might get. Isn't it just so therapeutic to watch all of the base coat being applied onto that nice grey primer? When it came to applying the second coat of the base, it was super nice to be able to slow things down and just make sure I'm getting really good coverage and kind of be smarter with the distance of the actual gun as well. Doing all the parts and making sure that you're getting all these intricate sections whilst not getting any runs is very difficult, especially for your first time and especially on the tight deadline that I'm on. But it was something that I tried my best on to manage and get the best results that I could. got the mask on because I want to be safe, but I want to show you all the finish that I've been able to achieve. I've been told that you don't need to worry too much about orange peel when it comes to the base coat, but have a look at this. So this is after the final coat has been applied. Let's have a look at the bumper. So it's super awkward to do the bumper because of the position I'm in. I might just do another quick coat, kind of finish off, making sure certain bits and pieces are definitely covered. But I'm very, very pleased with these results so far. Just on this area, it's because of the lighting, it's a bit hard to tell, but I think there's some grey spots coming through. So I'd like to just go over that, and also this area, there's a few little grey spots. Unbelievable. I will say one thing, I'm so over the moon with the results so far. It's definitely one of those things where you just got to jump into it and you got to figure it out and just do it and get past that mental block and just jump into it. And I've done that. I'm so happy with the results so far. So let's go. 2-to-1 with 10% additive. So we're just going to go for the maximum amount. Oh, damn it. Oh gosh, proper making a mess. What on earth is this setup supposed to be like? So it's made a proper mess. Damn it. Really did not want to make such a mess right now. Look at the floor, all from the powder of the black droplets just falling down.
This was the first moment that really started sinking into me that there is no way I'm going back a step. It has to be all perfect from here onwards. Now, with all of my research, it always came out as you're supposed to apply a nice, easy setting of a first coat, just so that the second and third coats, if you do go to them, have something good to adhere to. So I didn't want to get any runs here. I just wanted to apply a good amount of clear over everything.
So real quickly, I'm having to kind of sand it all with 800 grit because it's kind of, I think it's just overspray or something that's kind of got into it. So it's the next day. I'm just going to sand it all down real quick and then apply some more. I'm probably going to change the position of it so it doesn't have as much of a flat surface for everything to fall down on. This is the texture. I think it's because of the dust in here, so I really need to change the position of things so the dust doesn't fall onto the panels. All of these have come out really nice. There's orange peel, but it's not like that. So yeah, I've got to respray them with some clear. At least I can unhang all of these. So I've got the bumpers mounted up like this. I'm going to move the splitter over to this side in a moment. I'm going to be lacquering them again, or clear coating them. Got my mask on because I just want to be safe. I don't want to get properly ill or anything like that. Going in for another coat. Same with these over here. There's last 3 items. Didn't get proper coverage in certain areas, so I'm just going to coat it again with some clear. And obviously this is the new bad boy. This is the one that is basically just being done. So looks pretty good. It's been pretty interesting to get the bottom of it done as well. And yeah, time to get some more clear on. And then these parts are all done. I can start wet sanding the other stuff and I can start getting the bodywork ready. So let's go! So everyone, 3:48 in the morning. And basically I've got the bumper, spoiler and all the other little bits and pieces in the, I'm going to call it conservatory, but at the moment it's kind of been garage space taken over. I've moved a lot of things out of the garage so that I can spray the car in there. So that's why this space is absolutely a mess. Brought that all in because I really wanted to get the GTR into the garage. See, basically I have to go around all the windows with little tape like this. Now I can actually properly mask it up. So here is how the car is looking at the moment. Masking up a huge amount of it. I really want to prep this car up for primer tonight. I can basically primer it tonight, go to sleep and pretty much wake up later on and it should basically be completely dry. So I'm doing my steps. It's basically straight, this car. Most of the bodywork has already been done. There's a couple of little bits and pieces that I do want to touch up on. Obviously the primer being a high build will allow me to also blend it in really nice. You know what, masking up a car takes a ridiculously long amount of time. You know, I don't enjoy it. It's somewhat therapeutic if you had time on your hands. If you don't have time on your hands, it's not very fun. I'll be honest, I'm pretty proud of how I've been able to get this to look. I'm gonna mask this bit down to the ground, do something similar on the sides. I'm just trying to be smart about how I'm masking it. Hence why I've got bits like this corner here and this corner here, just utilizing some of the leftover bits. Because I still got my rear wiper blade, it's a little bit more awkward because this was literally touching over here. So I basically cut it, put another piece on, and that is the car masked off as much as I want it to be. The bottom, I would have loved to have done a whole section going across here and stuff, but I'm running a little bit low on the tape thingy-majiggy, so I thought for the time being this is going to be good enough. Right now I'm going to sand down the whole car with 500 grit on a sanding disc. This is literally what I'm going to be using to go over the whole car. It does the job. It's going to get everything nicely smoothed out. What's it called? It's late. It's 5 AM in the morning, okay guys? I'm going to sand the car down real quickly. 6:21 in the morning. Car is fully prepped, fully wiped down, dried with tack cloth, this blah blah, all of the stuff. I've got the gun ready now and I'm about to start painting on the primer. You know, it's seriously crazy when you're basically just constantly in the same space over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. I'm just gonna get this done. I'll see you guys after I've painted on the primer. That's what I'm looking at right now. That's sick. The car is officially painted and I have officially got a little bit of dirt there. Yeah. So that's how the car's looking at the moment. Pretty happy with that. I did realize one thing is I need to tape down the front area because with the air ventilating in, this can fling back up, so I need to do something about that. I think the mixture was just a little bit too, I don't know, but it was proper like thin, and you can kind of see it's already like coming off of my hands there, which is weird. Never seen that before. My first can of primer finished, so then I had an extra can, which was this one here, and whereas it works fine technically, it was just slightly different from the bigger bottle that I had. And the only reason why I ran out of the bigger one was because I just did so many repeats with the other parts and stuff. So that is the second coat added on, and it's all dry now. So what I'm gonna do is just start block sanding everything, which, as you guys can imagine, gotta get my powder out, apply it all over. It's so windy today, which is a bit annoying, one of those things. So yeah, I'm just gonna quickly go over the car. A lot of fun. I'm gonna put a hat on, mask on, and just crack on with this because it gets all over you. Hence why I want to put a hat on, because then if I do want to sit down anywhere, my hair doesn't have all the powder inside of it and just goes all over the place. Right, so I've just finished tack clothing everything right now, and that basically can get nicely thrown away into the bin. I've basically prepped everything now. Everything's all ready for the paint, so I need to mix up the paint, get that in. Because I've got a few things going on, so I gotta do the paint, then I gotta do paint again. So base, potentially base a third time, and then followed that with clear coat twice, potentially a third time, depending on how I do it all. It's going to be pretty erratic and stressful, so I am going to completely zone out and focus into all of that, because that's what I need to do right now at this stage. So yeah, let's go. There is the car all ready and prepped. Gonna dust it down a little bit more again. I can't believe it. So next day, I prepped everything last night for me to be able to wake up this morning and just paint it straight away.
Even at the point of complete exhaustion, you can see that I am just blasting through this, and it is such a relieving feeling to be able to see base coat applied onto the car. So I'm applying the second coat as best as I can, and later on in the day I came back to the car and I was having a quick look around, and I noticed the roof did not have full coverage. And I'll be honest, this is one of the harder bits to get right, because with the lighting not being perfect, I couldn't spot where I was missing, and I didn't notice this fully when I did the smaller parts, but when it came to doing the full car, I really wasn't getting it right. So I thought I'd be able to make up a little bit of time and get clear coat on the car next, I ended up having to go back around the car and apply on some more base. And if you don't know, then basically after you apply the base coat, you really have to let everything air out before you apply the clear coat. And I was really up against it for time right now, but I had to get another layer of base applied. So as soon as that all dried, I basically left it for the next day. Now I'm running really low on time and I have to apply clear coat around the whole car. So I repeated what I did with the other parts, applied a good mist layer over the whole car, and then I went back over it and started applying a few layers of clear coat. This was very stressful.
Now for some reason I'm getting this like bubbling, and it's only on this side that it's happened on. But you can see what it looks like when I've sanded it down. So now I've got to sand this section down again. Then I'm going to kind of go over the whole car and re-lacquer it. I do want to get a better finish than what I've got at the moment.
And everyone, you join me now with a fully painted R32 GTR. I am so happy to see how this car looks now. In all complete honesty, it did not look anywhere near this good on the night of completion. In fact, here are some clips of that. So these clips are actually from the 8th of July. This is on the day that we need to be at the car meet. I finished painting the car at 12:30 at night, which means now I have to let the car cure. And as many of you know, that is one of the big problems that I told you about earlier on. So when you're doing something like this, as quick as I had to do it, is definitely something that has a major factor. I'm gonna end this video on a little bit of a cliffhanger, which is, did I actually manage to get the car completely ready and drivable by the end of the day to meet for the GTR rally over in Wales? The bodywork content on this car won't be finishing soon either, and that is because I still have to do a major wet sand and polish with this car, because as you guys can tell, I've got a lot of orange peel. Plus, I've made some mistakes where I do have a small paint run, which I'll show you guys just over here. I've got a little bit of a paint run, and I made a boo-boo, and I had another paint run just over in this section as well. The car is very dirty at the moment. That's because, as you guys know, the video finished in July and it is now September. So there's a lot of car content coming, guys. I'm not lying to you. There's a lot of good car content coming. I'm also going to be doing another video where I'm going to be talking about all the lessons I've learned about doing a home DIY paint job, because there's a lot of lessons that I don't want to fit into this video, because I think it'll work out a lot better in a separate video, and it'll be very clear and concise, and it'll be very informative to anyone who thinks about tackling something like this yourself in your own home garage. So without further ado, I look forward to seeing you all in a future video. Thank you all for watching. Leave your thoughts and comments down below. Give the video a thumbs up if you have enjoyed it, and please consider subscribing if you would like to see more. And also actually feel free to share some of your thoughts as to what you think future videos should be about as well. But for now everyone, let's end the video here. Peace out and thank you for watching.